What an exciting day. Hello everybody, it's 2 o'clock in the afternoon on something or other, Thursday, the 3rd of October? Yes, 3rd of October. Interesting chat going on. Yes, I wish I could answer all of them. Wilf, need to talk to you about that, about your response at some point. We need to have a chat. Welcome to Bud and Alistair. I didn't see if Amy was here, but I'm sure she'll be along if she's not. Thank you very much for doing your bouncing thing for us. Ingolf, congratulations on Unity Day. Enjoy the holiday. And welcome to everybody. Got a treat for you today. Unfortunately, to preface the treat, our guest judge for this month, Angi Wallace, has been a little bit under the weather and has not been able to do the guest judge thing this month, which is a real shame because I really look forward to working with her. But we will do that another time. Instead, I'm going to do a live results video today for you. And that's something we don't do very often. I always enjoy doing it. And what I'm going to do is move our discussion of photography of sculpture to next week probably. I may just do it in a video. It depends. There's a lot of technical stuff in there. And this is going to be a lot of fun today. A couple of things first. Don't forget After Stack on Saturday. It's After Stack number 7. It's going to be a deep dive into Tony Kuiper's TK9, the Photoshop add-on editing software that my production partner, Bud Parrott, uses all the time. He's going to explain how he uses it, show examples, that type of thing. So that's going to be fun. Saturday, 10 o'clock in the morning. Amy and Susan need some more volunteers. Just a couple. If you're interested in volunteering for the Alan Walls Photography Essentials compilation thing that we're doing, a project where you guys pick out the best stuff from my past catalog so that we can get some playlists put together. If you want to volunteer a little bit of your time to do that, please let Amy or Susan know, either on the Walls app or let them know in the chat here today. Yeah, we could use a couple more people. We're almost there. I think we have 9 people signed up. If we can get just a couple more, we'll be good to go. Huge thanks to me for sending me this thing. This is the most fun you can have with a somewhat legal computer thing. I'll talk about it one day. When the phone rings and I'm talking, it almost always means something's gone wrong, but I'm guessing nothing's gone wrong at this point. We seem to still have sound. Okay, good. I'll just ignore the phone from now on. So what was I saying? I was saying huge thanks to me for the flipper. This thing's an incredible gadget if you're into gadgets. And thank you to Alan Rechtenwald, who very generously sent me this light, which is insanely powerful and high CRI. It is an incredible light. If you can figure out how to turn it on. You don't want to be looking at it though. It's really bright. It's a tremendous camera light. Gosh, I have to turn it off because it really gave me a headache staring into it earlier on. It's got exchangeable lenses, fits on your camera. I'm going to do a whole review of it. It's very rugged, very solid, beautiful light. It's from a company named Fox Fury, or it could be Fox Furry, I don't know. Probably Fury. And it's called the Rugo, R-U-G-O. And this is going to be perfect for my high-speed stacking. the Gilloy technique that I'm practicing. So this will be wonderful to have. I'm 3D printing something for it right now, which reminds me, one other thing to remind you of. If you're a 3D printer, well, you're probably not a 3D printer like that one. You're probably just a person that does 3D printing. But if you are, I found a new filament that is even better than the Overture Professional PLA that I've been using. It's the Overture Super PLA Plus. Yeah, it's super expensive for a roll of the stuff, but it makes the best prints I've made yet. I mean, really, really high quality stuff, like iron, that is. So Overture, what's it called again? I've forgotten. Super PLA Plus. All right, get yourself some. The October competition. The October competition is on insect intimacy, which sounds a little rude, I think, but I couldn't come up with a better word for it, so that's what it is. It's all explained on the website and on the Walls app and on Discord, where it's all been posted, but if you want to know, it's parts of an insect. Find an interesting part of an insect. A foot, mouth parts, an antenna, something that just looks fantastic. Photograph it super close. We're talking 1:1 or greater. So you might need a big insect for this, but it's all about making a beautiful picture out of an insect part. That's what it's about. I put an example on my website, on the competition page, of what I think is an example of, well, I know is an example of what I'm looking for. Go look at that picture. You'll know immediately what I'm talking about. Shall we get into it? First of all, we wish you a very speedy recovery, Angie. Terribly sorry you're not feeling well, but hopefully we'll do you justice here. Things are different this month because after going through the 24 or so entries, I simply could not decide on honorable mentions because I think all of the submissions deserve an honorable mention. So we're going to do them all today, which means I'm going to talk fast. So we're going to go through all the honorable mentions, and then we're going to go through the top 11. There are 11 placed photographs and one winner. Are you ready? I am. I'm so excited. I've been doing this all morning, and I thought I'll never get through all of these and come up with a good order for them, but I did, and yeah, it's going to be fun. Yeah, and Michelle and anybody else who's remembers me talking about bones and skeletons and things like that, I thought about that and just decided at the last minute that it's been too long since we really focused on insects. Skeletons and things like that will probably come up in the new year. But yeah, I'll talk more about that later. Let's get on with today's business. What I'm going to do is I'm going to go through all the pictures, and until I get to number 11, they are not in any specific order. They are in fact just random, but they're all honorable mentions. I'm moving the pictures over. You don't want to see me underneath, so I'm covering up the whole business of messages. So I won't see your messages, guys, until either I take a break or in the middle of this. I won't be able to see what you're writing, so I'm just going to keep talking. Right, let's get down to it then. And I did fix the microphones, thank goodness. So we'll begin with an honorable mention from Julie. Julie Botts, What Lies Beneath? This is a lovely, surreal-looking photograph of underwater stuff in what looks like an aquarium. What I loved about it and why I thought it needed an honorable mention was the very clever way she's managed the lighting with what appear to be some different colored lights coming in from the sides. Really beautiful. It's very interesting and very kind of psychedelic looking. Loved it, and certainly thought it deserved an HM, which it got. Honourable mention number 1. Well, actually, no, we don't number them, do we? We won't start that again. The next one is from Amy Furman. Another honourable mention. This one is for Tiny Seeds. Now, it might have done better if I could tell what the seeds were, but I'm not really sure. It's a busy photograph. My attention is certainly drawn to the splashy bit here, but yeah, it's an interesting composition in terms of color and light and shadow, and I love the sharpness of the bubbles. So it's an interesting photograph, but didn't quite put itself up in the top 11. Next up is a very interesting picture from George Simpkins. George has a most remarkable ability to create fascinating scenes with beetles. Now, this appears to be, and he makes these sets for them, which is amazing. So you can see what it is. It's a pool scoreboard. You've got a pair of weevils playing pool, it would appear, and the sign was furnished for us by the Emerson, Lake and Palmer Sign Company of London, England, which doesn't exist. But George just knows how to hit the my weak spots when it comes to weevils. The goldfish look somewhat disinterested, not appearing to watch the match at all. But Illinois Fats is not doing as well as Fast Eupholaus. But you know, it's a clever, funny, well put together picture, and yeah, honourable mention. Well done, George. Hope you're doing well, my friend. We haven't spoken in a while. I love the matchstick pool cues. Very clever. Next up, this one is from Francesc Dalmau. You don't want to see just the little name tag. You want to see the picture. And here it is. This is one of 2 underwater pictures that we got. Remember that the theme is submerged. So there are a couple of pictures you're going to see that kind of stretch that. But this one definitely doesn't. It's definitely a submerged picture. The problems with it, the reason it didn't get higher, I mean, the subjects are fantastic. I mean, the ostracod and the stentor, the colours are lovely. They're not sharply in focus, and there's a fair amount of noise and a little bit of muddiness to the picture. It's very difficult to photograph submerged, and that is part of the challenge that I put on you this month. But the subjects are lovely. It's interesting. Might have done better with a tighter crop and a little more attention to focusing on this guy in the back, which is certainly what my eye is drawn to. Here's an interesting contribution. This one's from Janut Szymanski, excuse me for my horrendous pronunciation. It's a lovely photograph of something that does not appear to be submerged, and very probably was intended for another competition or another month. I'm showing it because it was submitted, and I'm showing all the submitted pictures, and it's a lovely picture. I'm giving it an honourable mention because it's a lovely picture, but yeah, beyond that, it's hard to get in the finals when you're not quite on the theme. Next up, an honourable mention goes to Moshe Martin for this rather, well, it's a nice shot. I can't seem to make the frame get any bigger. Nope, it's just not doing right, is it? Don't know what I've done wrong here, but anyway, yeah, that might do it. Nope, you're just going to have to ignore the antenna sticking out of the picture. This is an interesting picture. It's kind of sad. It's a bit busy too. There are quite a few distractions. I think the things that prevented it from doing better were the overzealous use of backlighting, I think. I wonder if this might not have been a little bit more successful with light that was closer around to the front, a little bit below, to avoid some of the reflections, to banish some of the noise, and to give a bit more light and interest into the heart of the rose. It appears a little bit too silhouetted to really grab my attention. And the last thing that bothered me about it was that the glass doesn't look completely flat. It looks like it's tipping at a bit of an angle. So there were a lot of little things that conspired to keep this from surging into the top 10. But nevertheless, good effort indeed. Next up, another underwater shot from Francesc Dalmau. It's another honourable mention. It's actually a much better picture and very interesting to look at. It's a group of ostracods or ostracodi swimming around or doing their thing in a rather dirty looking tank. And I wonder if that could have resulted in a higher place. We've got pretty sharp looking creatures, no doubt, and the colour and everything is very nice. It's just a little off-putting, the smeary parts. They make these squeegee things that I don't know if it's a good idea to squeegee the tanks that your ostracods are growing in. Sounds a bit risky, but maybe that would have helped show things up a little better. The last thing I'd say is your eye is rather drawn to this largest, brightest creature, which is slightly out of focus, and difficult to focus on an underwater creature, but good effort. Next up, from Maine, Dave Brown's Lunch. Now, this is an interesting photograph in that it pretty much put me off my lunch. I'm not sure what this is, but it doesn't look like anything I would eat. Is it a goldfish, Dave? I'm really not sure. Looks like some kind of a... it just doesn't look appetizing. It's a little on the dark side. It's a little out of focus. And I think that's problematic. The light background was a good idea, and I think that it could have been a more successful effort. I think with a little more light from the front and a little bit more attention to the focus thing. But a title other than Lunch might have helped too. Don't know that for a fact, but we'll just have to see. Rashid Al-Samati came up with a very clever idea and what was potentially a very good picture. I like the idea of lemon dancing with bubbles, which is the title. I'm going to cover up Dave's lunch, if you don't mind. This is an interesting idea, but it's spoiled by a couple of things. It's in a glass that I think has an angled or edges on it, which kind of creates this area of artifact and blur, which kind of detracts from the picture. The bubbles in the front are out of focus in favor of the lemon, or part of the lemon being in focus. But this is not a good example of a lemon wedge. I've done a lot of this type of photography for commercial shoots, and when you're doing something like this, you really want to focus on focus. You definitely need your whole subject to be in good sharp focus, and I would cut up 10 lemons looking for one slice that really looked lemony. And this one looks a little bit... I don't know if you've ever been out to a restaurant and ordered a beverage that had a lemon in it and been served one that looked like this. I would probably send it back for fear that it may have been sitting out for a week or two. So you want to pick the lemons that look almost unreal. They're so fresh and juicy looking. This poor guy looks a little bit bedraggled. Great idea, just lacking a little bit in the execution. Next up in the honourable mention stack is a photograph that I really, really wanted to see do better because I absolutely love the picture. It's some type of a spittlebug, I'm sure, a spittlebug larva. It's pushing the limits on the submerged thing. I'm not sure I would consider covered in slime being the same thing as submerged, but this is a nice picture. It's well shot, it's well lit, it's in good focus. The title of it is I'm Going Cuckoo. I added the 2 because his other picture was also titled I'm Going Cuckoo. But Gary, this is very close to being good, and in a different competition, say a lava competition or a covered in spit competition, this would have done really well. But I liked the photograph, I really did. Definitely worthy of an honourable mention. Great sharp picture of the bubbles. I love it. Now, Bill Bromer submitted 2 pictures, and I liked them both, certainly enough for the honourable mention. One of them was very interesting and very well shot, and the other one was just pretty disturbing, and that's this one. It's a crayfish in an unusual position, appears to be standing up, and his eyes are really kind of creepy looking. This is a dragonfly larva that's probably trying to eat the crayfish, or vice versa. But it's very interesting. I love the stretched portrait orientation of it. It's a little crowded, definitely. I wonder if it would have had more impact had the shot been a little bit wider. It lost points because of the murkiness around the eyes. It's a little hard to see the features, and it was a little hard to make out what I was looking at for the first little bit. But still, it's an interesting composition. It must have been difficult to shoot, so definitely worthy of an honourable mention. Next is another picture from Rashid Al-Samati that really had all the makings of a top 10 image, with one notable exception that I think spoiled it. I know you all have already figured out what that is. I love the use of the diagonal. I love the bubbles. They're sharp. They're really well done. I even like the repeating reflection of the light. I think it looks good. It looks interesting. I like the background. The background's beautifully blurred. What I don't like is the drowned weevil. Those of you who have figured out that things with weevils in them often fare well in the competitions because of my love of weevils, you need to extend that to exclude weevils that are obviously drowned. It's just not appealing to me. It's a little bit disturbing. But in this case, even if the weevil were swimming, shall we say, he's a little bit out of focus and a little bit too dark. He looks a little bit more like a distraction in this photograph than a real key feature. But I do like I guess you had to have something submerged, so I get that part of it. But nice try, very close to hitting with all cylinders firing, but just a little bit off. Okay, there is one more that didn't quite make the numbered photos, but definitely deserves a special mention. This is Aqua Spiral. It's a protea that's underwater. A protea is a South African flower, it's like a coney thing, and it's underwater, which is good because that fits very well with the theme of submerged. I love the interesting colors of the bubbles, the way they're outlining the flower. I think it has a lot of potential. I like the background. It's all altogether quite successful, except for one thing. The smear on the edge. I don't think this is an artifact. I think it's just either motion or out of focus area. But it does, I think motion based on what I'm seeing here, the streaking. But it does detract because it kind of pulls my attention over in that direction. Let me see. I just got a message from... Nope, it's nothing to do with the competition, so I will not pause to deal with that for right now. Okay, so we're up to number 11, and I mentioned earlier that Gary Panett almost made it in with his going cuckoo picture. Well, here's the other one, and I did put it in. This is number 11. Even though I stand by what I said about being covered in spit being a little different than submerged, I do love this picture. I think it's a nice, interesting lava picture. Love the colors, love the textures, like the bubbles. The eye of our star is just ever so slightly blurry, but the rest of him looks good. And it was a clever idea. So number 11 from Gary Panett, I'm Going Cuckoo. All right, let me see. At number 10, I love this picture. It's from Moshe Martin, and it's Avocado from its Pit. Now, this is only partially submerged, some of you might say, if you were being mean-spirited. But I just love this. This is one of Mr. Martin's better pictures that I've seen. I really love this. It's simple, clean. I love the lines of it. The jar's a little bit off-putting, but when you plant a seed like this in a jar, you have to kind of stick with the jar. I'm sure you can't transplant it to a different jar, but my eye is drawn to the seed and to the beautiful slender stem coming up. It's all in focus. It looks nice. The lighting's good. Very little in the way of shadows to put you off. I thought this was a very pleasing photograph and certainly worthy of a position. Number 10, well done. The second photograph that Bill Bromer submitted was another underwater crayfish shot, this time without the dragonfly larva, but with a very interesting looking snail. This picture's busy, but the water's clearer, the lighting's better, the detail on the crawfish is much more evident, the colors are better, and the important stuff is in focus. So I rather like this one. The composition might be just a tiny bit unbalanced, but I see why he did what he did. You wouldn't have wanted to cut off the end of the antenna, even though it kind of blurs away over on this side. It's not badly composed. This light spot may have benefited from just a little darkening, as might Mr. Crawfish's head benefited from just a tiny little bit of lightning. So there are things that might have been done a little bit differently, but all in all, very pleasing picture, very successful. Well done, Bill. As we get up into the higher, lower numbers, I guess you'd say, the more successful pictures, get a really nice one from Hans Peter. This one is a diver's watch diving, or a diving diver's watch. No, it's diver's watch diving from Hans Peter Steiner. This is lovely. It's a well executed shot. Lovely shot of the watch itself. It's a little dark on a dark background, but I think that's really necessary to get the out of focus water effect in the front. I like it. I really do. It's the bubbles are helpful to let me know that this is actually a submerged watch and not photoshopped. So it's very good. Is there anything that might have picked it up just a little, just a tad more light maybe from the left-hand side to have the dial, the detail in the dial a little more visible? But I wouldn't make a big fuss about that. I think this is very nice and well done. Good photograph, Hans-Peter. And there's nothing I had to edit out of this picture. No rude parts, which is good. Yeah. At number 7, this is a clever picture. It's looks like it's from the same series as Julie Bott's first honourable mention, but this one gets in at number 7. This is called Smoke on the Water. This is an interesting selection of effects. Once again, the lighting is really clever. I like what Julie's done with the different colours. Whether this was done with gels or some other way, I don't know, but it gives this lovely, surreal, psychedelic layered effect. I don't know how she got this smoky effect where everything's crystal clear underneath the water and has this effect above. It's very artistic. It's very beautiful, and the more I look at it, the more it actually grows on me. It's very cleverly done, and it does look like smoke, and it does look like it's on the water, and I do love deep purple. So, well, you know what? I wonder if that's intended. There's deep purple in here, isn't there? How clever. If I'd thought of that while I was doing the judging, it might have been a wee bit higher. But yeah, great shot, Julie. I love this one. Well done. Number 6. This one is so technically perfect. You just have to love it. It's from Harold Hall, who is one of our most accomplished technical photographers. He takes just brilliantly sharp and well-composed pictures. This is Oatmeal for Breakfast. Now, why it didn't end up higher than it did is I'm just a little bit confused about what I'm looking at. Are we looking through a pane of glass, or what's going on with the water drops? I'm guessing this is oatmeal underneath, but yeah, is it submerged, or I don't know. I don't know what I'm looking at, but I absolutely love the effect. The colors, the transitions, the sharpness of the water drops or bubbles, or both. Just fantastic. It doesn't. I would never have guessed it was oatmeal, and that might be one of the reasons it didn't get quite as many points as it might have. But I still love the picture. It's a gorgeous abstract. But this is one where Harold will say, well, it's obvious that this is an oatmeal bowl of some type that's been dipped in water. I don't know, but as soon as I find out what I'm actually supposed to be seeing, I'll probably love it even more. But definitely happy to let this one take position number 6. We're into the top 5, and one of the things you'll notice about the top 5 is they all are very tightly adherent to the theme. And this one, I think, was probably inspired by our intended co-judge this month. This one is lovely, from Victoria Martin. This is the Ethereal Bloom. Now, I say it might have been inspired by Angi, because I know Angi does a lot of this submerged flower art with these clouds of streaming liquid. This is beautiful. I love the colors. The composition is pleasing, though I'm a tiny bit put off by this area, and wonder if a crop might have excluded just a little bit of that. It tends to just dilute my attention just a little. That was a good choice of words, wasn't it, for this competition? Dilute my attention. But I love the bubbles on the bud of whatever this is, and the way the colors are interacting with it. It's a very clever picture. It held my interest. I particularly like the smoke rings from the paint or the dye or whatever this is. Very clever. Very appealing. Gosh, that would be picky if I said that. I'm not going to say that. Textures and flowing lines, very appealing. Well done, Victoria. I didn't recognize your name and didn't know if maybe this was your first entry. But if it was, you can submit 2 photographs until you win this thing. When you win it, you are only allowed to submit 1. But yeah, this was beautiful, and congratulations on 5th place. Next, Jeff Malone, Poseidon's Christmas. This is a very clever and interesting photograph, and I had to look at this for a long time to really appreciate everything that was going on here. It looks to me like this is a shell, a spiral shell, like a nautilus, not a nautilus shell, a periwinkle, that's had the outer parts removed or worn away by the sea, hence the Poseidon thing. The little globules look like beads of some kind, and the whole thing gives the impression, of course, of being a Christmas tree that's underwater. The outer focus areas are beautifully rendered and show a very appealing bokeh in the background. The lights are all very interesting and complementary. I think there's some coloured liquids have been dropped in, the red and the green, of course, to heighten the whole charismatic theme. I just made that word up. You suppose that's a word? I'll have to check with ChatGPT, but charismatic sounds quite good. Yeah, I'll use it again. Lovely picture. Well thought out and well executed. Definitely a good number 4. We're into the top 3, and those of you who are keeping track of whether or not your picture has been shown know you're in the top 3, because I haven't talked about your picture yet and I haven't left any out. Number 3, the bronze medal. And this was really difficult, by the way, guys, to come up with this order, is this beautiful copepod from Tom Biegalski. This is a lovely, clever photograph of a very, very small creature that's been beautifully rendered. I don't know what kind of technique you used for this, Tom, but it's masterfully done. The background, I can tell, is a real background. This is just the pond water that the thing was swimming in the aquarium. So this was a difficult capture, but it's lovely and sharp. These are some of the hardest photographs to take of very small, moving, living aquatic creatures. So absolutely first-rate, lovely picture. 3rd place, which tells you that there must be a couple of real corkers coming up. Let's see what we have at number 2. This one is the second submission from Gillian Davis, and it is a lovely and interesting and clever photograph of a bottle brush. Now, if you know this plant, which I don't, but we have things just like it over here, oftentimes you'll see it photographed in the morning when it has dew covering its little leaflets or petallets or whatever these things are. And this is an inverse of that. This is a submerged bottle brush with air bubbles instead of dewdrops covering it. And I think it's absolutely beautiful. The contrasting green background is fantastic. The way it balances against the core here is lovely. The thing is in sharp focus where it needs to be. There are a couple of areas where the focus was ever so slightly out, which is always difficult. I'm guessing this is a single shot photograph with a macro lens taken through a glass container of some kind, but by and large incredibly successful, very pleasing to look at, and a first-rate picture. I do love it. The detail is fantastic in the in-focus areas. Very nice indeed. Congratulations, silver medalist Gillian Davis with her second submerged flower of the competition, which means our winner for the second time, not the second time this month, but the second time in history, is Pierre Seurat with The Tiger is Snorkeling. Well, this one left me almost speechless. It's such a clever and unusual photograph. It's a lacewing insect, not a lacewing. I forget the name of the thing. I love these little bugs. They have these transparent bodies. It's full of bubbles, but it's not all bubbles. Some of this is the actual pattern on the thing's wings. The blue to dark blue background, the outer focus areas, and these crystal sharp bubbles just set the whole thing off and give it a very surreal and fascinating appearance. I love the light and dark. One thing that Pierre can do as well as anybody I've seen is use reflected light and available light to give these very unique reflective surfaces. I'm not quite sure what the title has to do with it. Snorkeling tiger. I guess these are possibly bubbles coming from the thing's snorkel, had it got a snorkel. But this is one time when he could have called it whatever he wanted, and it wouldn't have made any difference, because I still love I love the image. It's really clever and well thought out, beautifully executed. The use of the blue at the bottom, not entirely sure that works, but I see where it worked in creating these very interesting bubbles. So I give you a nod of that, a tip of the hat for that. Well done. It's a beautiful photograph, well executed, interesting. I kept coming back to this and looking at it again and again. So congratulations, Pierre. This is the second time your bubbles have won you first place in one of my competitions. So you're onto something. You're onto something. Well, that is it for the competition. It was fewer entries than we normally have, but lovely, clever photographs. This was a very difficult theme. The whole idea of photographing things underwater does, even though we didn't say it had to be underwater, it was just submerged. You could have done a lot of things with it, but still it called on creativity and a lot of creativity and technique in how you actually do this. It's always hard to shoot through glass or to shoot underwater, period, whether you're always shooting through glass if you're using a lens, aren't you? But you know what I'm talking about. There are tricks to it. Some of you figured the tricks out, some of you didn't. Some of you kind of obviated the having to shoot through glass by giving the illusion of shooting through glass, by having the water or the spit in some cases on the subject rather than actually shooting at something underwater. But that's okay. Doing that's fine if it works. The title was submerged, but that's as far as we took it. So you could have been as creative as you wanted. The competition in November and December, some people have asked me questions about it, and I'm going to talk just briefly about that so you know exactly what we're doing. I've already talked about October. The theme is the what is it? the intimate shot of an insect. It's insect parts. It's up close details of insect anatomy that you otherwise might not see, or would see just as an incidental part of a bigger photograph. I'll see if I can actually find the image that I put on my on the walls app. Actually, I wonder if this is when, if I try to show it to you, I'll probably break something, and I don't want to do that. And I don't think I've got the picture. Just bear with me 1 second. Let me see if I can find the picture, because this will help me explain. Well, here's a different one. I'll show you this one. I'm going to show one of my stereo pictures from last year or a couple of years ago, and this would be a very suitable entry to next month's competition, which is insect intimacy. It's an up close look at a tiger beetle's nostrils, and that's what I'm looking for, is something that you normally wouldn't see except as part of something bigger. And I'm trying to see if I do remember where I put the picture for the cover for the competition for next month. I've just got to find it. Is it here? No, it is not. Sorry guys, thought I had it, but apparently I don't. So I'll just keep talking to myself while I look in a couple of other places. You know, I gave it a special name so that I wouldn't lose it, and have lost it. So here it is. This is the picture that is over on my website. It is one of my favorite pictures from 2 or 3 years ago now. It's some up-close detail of a weevil's proboscis. It's not the whole thing. It's meant to be a kind of abstract composition, but this is a good example of what we're looking for in October. All right, so understand what the challenge is. Weevils have got lots of interesting parts. If you've got a weevil, their feet, fascinating. Okay, antennae, their back, a wing, an interesting wing. There's all kinds of things that you can do, and you're going to have to pull out your magnification equipment, either a reversed lens or an extension tube or something like a microscope objective to get some nice close-in detail. That's going to be what wins the competition. In November and December, I am combining the 2 months. It's an 8-week submission period, starting on the 1st of November, extending through New Year's Eve, the last day of December. You can submit whatever you want, and you can submit 3 images, even if you've won the competition before. This is a wild card. 3 images, anything you want that is a macro photograph. I'm not even going to specify what I mean by macro. It's truly a wild card. Now, let me briefly, I know that it helps when I give examples. I'll tell you a couple of things that will probably not get through the judges as a macro photograph. The Eiffel Tower, Iceland. Neither of those, under any circumstances, would be mistaken for a macro photograph. Okay? So now you know. If it's smaller than a pea, you're probably going to be okay. Where it gets a bit hairy is if it's refrigerator sized. Nah, that's probably not going to pass either. Bread box, smaller than a bread box, that would be pushing it. The smaller it is, the more appealing it will be. But you know, you be the judge. It's a wild card. So that's it for today. We're going to finish about a few minutes early so I can get over to the chat and see what's going on. Huge thanks to everybody who submitted a picture last month, who is going to submit a picture this month, and those of you who are just holding it all back for the mega competition in November and December. You know that in November and December, my guest judge is going to be Lester Lefkowitz. He's coming on. We'll be releasing his video at the end of, at the beginning of December, so you'll have that as well. It'll be a lot of Lester at the end of the year. So definitely plan on submitting your 3 best images of the year to that competition. The prize is going to be spectacular. Signed copies of Lester's books and other stuff as well. So that's going to be good. I don't have a guest judge for October, but seeing as this is close-up insect parts, I am going to officially request the assistance of Bud Parrott as my guest judge for October. And he's going to say, yes, I know it, that's why I'm announcing it already. Right, Bud? Okay, unless I tell you differently, Bud Parrott, and that's good because that will also keep him from submitting an image, which would probably win otherwise. So there you go. That's a win-win situation, as we say. Okay, let me get over to the comments, which means I'm going to have to X out of a lot of these photographs, like 24 of them. So, boy, that's a great picture. Tiger is snorkeling from Pierre. Love that. You probably would rather see that again than see my face. So maybe there's a way I can leave that up while I just X out all the other pictures underneath. Looks like I can. It's pretty rude for me to X out your pictures without showing them while I'm showing the winner, but you know, that's the way the cookie crumbles when you win. Great picture, Pierre. Smoke on the Water was a great title too. Okay, so everybody did great. Thoroughly enjoyed judging this one. And almost ready to get to the... Oh, see, that's that creepy looking crayfish popped up again. Almost to the comments. You know what? I'm just going to cut straight to the comments, otherwise we'll never get to them, and I can do it through a shortcut from here. Yeah, there we go. All right, great. So All right. You're welcome, Pierre. You earned the first place prize in this. But you were up against some tough competition. There were some really, really nice pictures. You guys did great. Dave is reminding us that there is a Nikon 60mm 2.8D for sale on Marketplace for $100 if anybody's interested. David's saying that now because he's got to leave. He's got to go eat his fish. I'm glad he's in Maine because I don't think he's going to feel well after he eats that fish. And thank you, Dave. I appreciate that. Yes, David said 3? A bonus? Yes, 3 images in November and December. You can submit 3 entries to the wild card 8-week contest. All right. Michelle, yes, you have to call everybody in Iceland and tell them that they can't enter. No Icelandic entries. Do we have anybody from Iceland? I don't think so. If we did, they would have left after I got back from Iceland and started talking about it because I had concerns about the place. Can you imagine what it's like there in winter? I certainly can't. In summer, it was just unbearably cold. All right, there you go. So, David Brown got it. It's 3 entries, 2 months, 1 Leicester. Pete Harper, welcome. Glad to have you with us. Pete, there's a way to submit that I think that somebody has already said. Yeah, Russ Richards has already told you, but I'll tell you again, and anybody else is new. If you go to the Walls app, which is www.walls-app.com, the first button on there is Photo Contest. Click on that. It'll take you to a page where there's a submit button. Press the submit button and you put in a JPEG. There are some size restrictions on it, and that's all over there on the link. And you're allowed to submit 2 unless you've won this competition. If you have ever won this competition, you're only allowed to submit 1 picture. But if you've won, like Pierre, he's won twice. But that doesn't matter. He was only allowed to submit 1 picture this time, and he did. Now it's still only 1 picture for him. Let me remind you that it is never okay to submit 7 pictures, as some people have done before. It's just not allowed. Pete, I look forward to seeing your entry in the next competition. That's how you submit them. And Bud's reminding you to give me a thumbs up. Bud, are you going to judge this month? Is that a yes? I hope so. Bill is explaining the crayfish and the dragonfly were jammed in the corner of an aquarium. No, I get that. I certainly understand that. But the look that crayfish is giving you, mean. Let me see. Is there a way to find out? I entered a really long time ago. Oh, is there a way to find out if you won? Yeah, absolutely. I have all the results. I don't, Michelle. I don't remember though. If you can remember which competition it was, that might help me. But yeah, get in touch with me. Get in touch with me through the back line there, and I'll look it up and let you know. If I find it, I'll tell you. Definitely, Pete put something in the wild card. We only do it once a year, and it's definitely the big competition of the year. It's hard to win that one because you are going to see some of the best pictures, and I've always been amazed at what you guys do when you have a free hand. So yeah, but definitely do it. Wide angle macro. I remember. Let me check, Michelle. I'll go back and look. That was a great competition. I remember that photograph. I loved it with the acorns on the fence post. That was nice. That was a difficult competition too. We need to do that again sometime. Well, that was about as much fun as I can have doing one of these things. It is still, as it has been all along, One of my very favourite things to do, and I love all of it, but getting to judge these fantastic photographs and to talk about them is just so much fun. You guys are so talented. Very, very good month for the competition. Michelle, you say you submitted to the to the camera club. Whew, I thought you were saying you submitted to entries to the competition and I hadn't seen them. If that ever happens, let me know. And I'll look them up. Let me see. I think that that's everything. Arthur was here. Harold was here. Harold, what are you doing in Athens? You've got that. There are several people in Athens who are also watching. Athens has become a hotbed for watching my live streams. There are 3 people over there watching it. Isn't that fantastic? All right. Let me see. I think we've got. Pete had made a note earlier on that I wasn't talking about art. Pete, I'm going to. It wasn't really that I changed my mind about I didn't change my mind about talking about art. In fact, I have a lot to say about it. The reason I switched was my co-judge for the competition this month took ill, Angi, and we wish her a speedy recovery. And because of that, it put me in a real bind as to when I could do the competition. And I thought, what a great opportunity to just do it live now. So that's why I switched at the last minute. I'm sorry, that this happens about once every 6 months. I'll for some reason I'll completely switch it over at the last minute. But I get to do that because I'm in charge. In fact, I have all the jobs here, every single one of them, so I can do whatever I want, as long as it's legal. Okay, guys, it's that time of day. It's 3:01. I have places to go and things to do and people to meet, and I don't have anything like that, but I do have to get in there and fix my macro stage. I'll be showing that next week because I've come up with a couple of inventions. One of the inventions is printing now. I'll show it to you next week, give you something to look forward to. Thank you for coming. Huge congratulations to our winners, to Gillian for her fantastic bottle brush, to our copepod from Tom, fantastic picture, and of course our snorkeling thingamajig. It's not a tiger though, I'll tell you that. It's definitely not a tiger. But anyway, congratulations, Pierre. Another great win. I'll see you guys on Saturday if you come to After Stack. If not, I'll see you on Tuesday. Take care, stay safe, and be well. If you live in Illinois, like if you live in Peoria, Illinois, and you want to come to a yard sale, my housemate is having a garage sale. Starts tomorrow. I may put some stuff in it. Yeah, drop by, buy something. Or not. It's up to you. Have a great weekend. Take care.